about military procurements and was very concerned about that eventually it will be the military contractors dictating policy instead of the policymakers deciding which weapons we need. They're being decided by the contractors themselves. So we have to address both the foreign policy and the economic policy. The hardest part for us in the Republican primary, when I was in Montana, there was a meeting in Billings last night, and only 1,600 people get to vote there. All of you will get to vote, but in Montana, only 1,600, like precinct chairmen, get to vote. And so it's a tough audience, and I tried to convince them, and they loved the Ron Paul message on guns and immigration and education and all those typical conservative things, but then we get to the defense or the foreign policy, and they're concerned about it. But you know what they don't, if you talk to them long enough, they begin to listen, but it takes a while. The Constitution never intended that the president would have a lot of power. It was one of the biggest concerns of our founding fathers. James Madison wrote that the Constitution supposes what history demonstrates, that the executive is the power most interested in war and most prone to it. The Constitution has, therefore, vested that power in the legislature. We've lost our way with that, and even if you think we should be in a certain war, you should believe that it should go through Congress and not through some unilateral decision. Some scary things are happening with an accumulation of power in the presidency. George Bush maintains that he can go to war in Iran without any further authorization from Congress. He thinks he has an open-ended authorization to do what he wants. This is a scary time that we live in, that can happen. We need to have this done constitutionally. We can't allow war to be fought anywhere at any point in time by one person's decision. The war in Iraq is going badly, and yet we have a candidate in the Republican primary who we've already heard, John McCain, who says we need to be there for another 100 years. We need to attack. We need to understand why we're being attacked. It doesn't mean that we appease or we give in to terrorism at all, but we need to understand the motivation of terrorists. And George Bush has said simply for years and years they attack us because of who we are and because of our freedom. That's always confused me. Why would they attack us? Are they going to Switzerland to attack them for their freedom and wealth? They are attacking us for political reasons. And I like to tell people to remember back to who some of the attackers were. First of all, they were all Saudi Arabians, and they went to Afghanistan and then came over here. None of them were from Iraq. But you know, 4 of the attackers were in Florida at the time, and the night before they did the attacks, they were in a strip club drinking shots. These were not particularly religious people. These were people who came here for political reasons. And there have been a lot of people who have written about terrorism, and the terrorists themselves will tell you why they come here. They come here because we're over there. But it's this sort of convoluted argument, and we're told, and they put us at a loss. They say we've got to fight them on their sand, not your sand. But the question is, can you kill enough of them? For every one you killed, you create 100 more by being over there. And will there always be a terrorist over there lobbing a bomb over the wall as long as we have bases in their country? Right now we're building 14 permanent bases in Iraq. We're building an embassy that costs $500 billion. It has 10-foot thick walls, 10 feet high. You go another 40 feet, it has another 10-foot thick wall, 10 feet high. It's a medieval fortress. It occupies 140 acres of prime riverfront property. I mean, most of the country's a desert except for the Euphrates River, and it occupies that entire place right in the middle of Baghdad. It's an endless money. It's also probably being built by Halliburton on a cost-plus contract. You know, we've got to do something differently in our country, and I think we are coming together. I think there is a future to this. There's a lot of new people coming into the movement, and it doesn't end on Tuesday. It begins on Tuesday.